Good morning. I hope everyone is well today. Got a really great class planned for you. Today you will need a strap. If you don't have a strap, feel free to grab a belt, an old tie, even a scarf will do. Also, not absolutely necessary. If you have a yoga block, that would be great. If you don't have a yoga block, it's really for support underneath your hands. So a heavy soup can would do. One of those taller juice cans would give you a little more height, a little more room, or a rolled up blanket or towel, although that can be soft. So just be aware of that. The block is for support under your hands. And if you don't have one, don't worry, we can always modify. So today's class, the focus is strong legs, using the muscles in the legs to really help you find lightness and lift through the lower body. Don't let that scare you. That's why we have the strap. The block is for support under your hands. The strap today is for support underneath your feet and your legs. So with that in mind, let's get started. Sit comfortably. I have a rolled up blanket underneath my hips, lifting my hips a little higher than my knees. Helps to open out the hips. When you have a little bit of height under the hips, a little bit of support. Very important. Opening the hips helps the energy flow into the lower body and the legs. You need that to build strong, engaged muscles in the legs. Hands resting on your thighs. Palms up or palms down, it doesn't matter which. Go ahead and close your eyes. Take these first few breaths in seated centering to scan your body, hear any messages that your body is sending you, and connect to your breath. The first level, connecting how you feel physically. The second level, connecting to how you feel emotionally and mentally. Completing the mind-body-breath connection. Some days it takes a couple more breaths to get there, but be patient with yourself. Use your next breath out to release your hips. Just feel your legs soften a little bit as your hips begin to let go. Now feel your breath flowing throughout your whole body. Inhaling, feeling the lift through the crown of your head, the upper body lengthening, and as you exhale, releasing downward. Softening the hips and the legs. Noticing when the muscles in the legs and the hips just let go with your breath out. Your next breath in, sweep your arms up. Bring your hands together overhead and let your hands float down, palm pressing to palm. Do that again 2 more times. Release the hands, sweep up with the breath in. Hands floating down. 1 more breath when you're ready. Pausing this time with hands in front of heart center. Give yourself a little adjustment just so that you feel like you're sitting a little bit taller. Then consciously use your exhalation to again release the hips and let your legs feel heavy, anchored to the floor. One more breath. Release your hands. And let's come into table pose, hands and knees. So wrists under the shoulders, knees under the hips. Toes curled under or not, it's really up to you what your personal preference is. Looking straight down at the mat, just slightly in front of your fingertips, remembering to engage your fingers so the palms of the hands are well connected to the mat. Arms are strong, wrists are stabilized. Now inhale, exaggerate the curve in the spine, look beyond the top edge of your mat. As you exhale, round through the back, tuck your chin towards your chest, spread your shoulder blades wide. 2 more breaths. Inhaling, lift the eyes, look forward, exaggerating the curve in the back. And exhaling, rounding through the back. Really think about pulling your chin to your chest and your belly button towards your spine. 1 more breath when you're ready. Come back to a neutral table pose. Walk your knees wide, wider than your hips now. Bring your big toes in together to touch. Press back, hips to heels. We've widened the knees here to really open up through the hips a little bit more. Creep your hands towards the top of the mat. Get a good connection between your fingers and the mat and your palms and the mat. Relax your head. Let your head come down. Keep the arms active here. Not a firm grip on the mat, but you can feel the muscles in your arms just gently hugging your bones, awakening through the upper body. Focus on sinking the hips, using the reach of the hands and the arms to get a little more length from your hips to your fingertips. Now relax the arms. Stack hand on top of hand. Turn your head to the right. Rest your left temple on your hands. Let your head feel heavy. Separate your teeth so that your jaw is relaxed and there's no tension in your throat. Really let your head turn to the right. Rest heavily on your hands. Hips heavy, head heavy. Breathe. Now lift your head and turn to the left this time. Rest your right temple on the back of your hands. Relax the jaw so the head feels heavy and the neck is completely relaxed. Heavy hips, hips sinking to the heels with every breath out. Lift your head, press up to table pose. So walking your knees back in. Wrists under the shoulders, hands, palms connected to the mat. Curl your toes under this time. Looking slightly above your fingertips, get a sense that your ears are in line with your shoulders. Reach your right foot back. Just rest on the ball of your right big toe for now. Now hug is not the right word. Kind of draw your right kneecap up into your thighs so you can feel the right thigh engage. You can feel the right thigh beginning to hug your femur, your upper thigh bone. Now spread your toes on your right foot and just float your right leg off the mat, your right toes off the mat. Keep your toes turned down so that your hips stay level. Now hug your inner thigh, your right thigh, towards your left. Try not to cross over behind you so your right foot isn't over top of your left. Now equal out the weight in both arms, both shoulders. Breathe. It's the beginning of engaging the legs. Working with one leg at a time and staying centered, right? Heart in line with your chin, heart in line with your belly button. Hips square, shoulders square. And then release. Whoo. Toes curled under. Same position, readjust, come back to your typical table pose, neutral table pose. Then reach the left foot back. Land on the ball of your left big toe. I'm already shifting, I'm anticipating what's coming. So shoulders square, over top of hips. Spread your toes on your left foot. Pull your left kneecap up into your thigh. Feel the left thigh spring into action. Then float left foot off the mat. Toes turn down so the hips stay square. Shift your weight just slightly as you pull your inner left thigh towards the right. Hugging the midline, that's called in yoga. So your chin is over your heart is over your belly button. Ribs in line with the hips. And then release. Walk your knees wide once again. Big toes in together to touch. Right hand reaches for the right corner of the mat as you sink your hips down towards your heels. Left hand goes on top of the right. Rest your head on your upper arms. Take a breath. And as you exhale, just sink into your left shoulder. Just soften the arms. Use the weight of your body, sinking your hips to your heels, your head on your upper arms to help you stretch the whole left side a little more deeply. Feeling the stretch from your left baby finger all the way down to your hip. Love a child's pose. Oh my goodness. I don't think there's a version I don't enjoy. Now lift your head. Bring your left hand over to the left side of your mat. Right hand on top of the left. Rest your head on your upper arms. And with your exhalation, sink into your right shoulder this time. Bending softly at the elbows. Feeling the long stretch on the right side. From your right baby finger all the way down to your right hip. Couple of long, delicious breaths here in child's pose. And slowly press yourself up. Bring yourself back to your neutral table position. And with your exhalation, lift to downward dog. Firmly connected to your mat with your hands from your fingertips to the heel of your hand and your feet. Kind of reach your heels down towards the mat. Exaggerate the intensity in the back of the legs as much as you can here. It's your first downward dog, so go easy. And lift your heels, bend your knees, walk your feet towards your hands. Take as many steps as you need to get there. So coming into a forward fold position. So your knees are bent just enough that your fingertips are grazing the mat. Now come up really high on your fingertips. Use the full length of your arms, tiny little bend in your knees. Look beyond the top edge of your mat. Think about lengthening from your tailbone to the crown of your head. Get some extension through the vertebrae. Hold this. So if the back of your legs, if you're not feeling a stretch here, and you need to come up a little bit more, this is when you reach for your block. So you can lengthen through the back of the legs a little bit. I want you to feel some stretch in the back of the knees and some length through the upper body. Now bend your knees enough now. If you've got support under your hands, place it to the side. Plant your hands once again. Walk your feet back to downward dog. You can feel this downward dog is a bit more open. Your body is beginning to loosen up. So now just take a moment here to pump your heels, Go slowly though, so you can really feel the stretch in the longer leg as the opposite leg bends. Of course, the other leg bends. Think about switching just a single breath at a time. Really reach the heel downward. Doesn't need to connect to the mat, but you do need to feel a stretch there. Now lift both heels slightly, and as you exhale, release both heels down towards the mat. Lift your heels, bend your knees, walk your feet towards your hands again. Take your time, many steps as you need to. This time, lengthen through the back of the legs. So if you're using a rolled up towel, go ahead and reach for your blanket. Your towel will give you a little more height, a little more length to open up through the back of the knees. As the back of the knees lengthen, lengthen also through the upper body. Use the full length of your arms, just some gentle support under the fingertips so the core isn't holding on quite so tightly. You've got room for your breath there. So long from the tailbone to the crown of the head, long from your hips to your heels. Now bend your knees just slightly. Take the intensity out of the back of the legs. Move your support off to the side, fingertips to the mat, step your right foot back. Regular right foot step, walking step, push down onto your heel, bend your left knee. Now just slowly bring yourself up with your breath in. Sweep up, gaze straight ahead. Wrists over top of shoulders, just enough energy in the fingers and the hands to stabilize the wrists and to separate the fingers. Right heel pushes down into the mat, opening up the back of the right knee as much as possible. Now left heel pushes down, but give it a little pull towards the back of the mat at the same time. Feel the left leg beginning to come alive. Belly button draws in just slightly, hugging the rib cage in to minimize the curve in the lower back and stabilize the upper body. Softness through the shoulders, length from your shoulders to your fingertips. Take one more breath. Use your exhalation to sweep your hands down towards the mat. Right foot steps in, left foot steps back. Regular walking step, push down onto your heel, right knee is bent. When you feel steady with your legs, push down into the mat and sweep up with the breath in. Right, starting out with a little bit of leg energy here. Slowly building. Energy in the hands to stabilize the wrists and lengthen the arms. Belly button and rib cage pulls in, stabilizing the upper body, minimizing the curve in the lower back. Left heel pushes down, lengthens the back of the left leg. Right heel pulls back. Legs activated. Core stable and steady. Arms long and strong. Breath flowing. Deep breath in. And as you exhale, simply sweep your arms down. Bring your hands to your hips. Step left foot forward. Left foot beside the right foot. Hands on your hips. Keep your hands on your hips. Think of dropping the shoulders down. Take a couple of breaths right here. Now bend the knees. But instead of just thinking of bending the knees, think about pushing your hips back. Use your hands to push your hips back. Sink into your knees. Gaze downward just enough so that you can still get a sense that you can see your toes if you were to look directly at them. Coming into a high chair pose here. Now bring your attention to the soles of your feet. If you feel the weight in your heels, just shift forward slightly and then sink a little more deeply. So the weight feels equal on the front and back of your feet. Take a quick look down at your knees. Your knees need to be pointing in the same direction as your toes, and you should be able to see your toes. Now bring your gaze straight ahead. Soften through the belly, soften through the rib cage now. Allow the spine to curve so you get that look. You can lift your head up and look straight ahead of you. Now you can feel the fronts of the thighs working, engaging the legs, waking up the lower body. Oh yeah, we're alive now. Breathe. Keep that, release the hands. Turn your thumbs out so your palms are turned forward. Put a little bend in the elbows, that will help. Sweep up. Sweep up just until the fingertips come together to touch the thumbs. One more breath. Now inhale, push into the floor, lift up. Bring the gaze upwards. Keep the thumbs together. And exhale, release down. Coming to mountain pose. Take a breath right here. Just notice the energy in the thighs. Just feel it dissipate. Whew. Let's inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, bend your knees, bow forward. Plant your hands. Step back to downward dog. Connect your fingertips, your thumbs, pressing into the mat. Palms firmly connected to the mat also. Now place your left foot to the center of the mat, kind of in line with your belly button. Push into the mat with the left leg, float the right leg, right foot off the mat. Spread your toes on your right foot, turn your toes down towards the floor, and reach your heel towards the wall behind you. Use your hands to get a little more length out of the arms and the upper body. Relax your neck, your jaw. And then if you can, keep the right heel reaching back and lift the right leg even higher. As high as you can. But keep the right leg long. Try not to bend at the knee. Keep an awareness there, long and strong through the right leg. Feel the strength and foundation in the left. Now bend your right knee now. Come up high on your left toe, left big toe. Squeeze your right knee in towards your belly, your rib cage, and step your right foot as far forward as you can. Step. Push down onto your left heel so you're longer now. Wider stance than you had a moment ago. One hand at a time comes up onto your right thigh. Now find a spot where your left heel is connected to the mat. So if you were able to step your right foot all the way to the top of your mat, you might have to hop your left foot in slightly. Ground down, push down with the left heel. Really lengthen through the back of the left leg. Look towards the top edge of your mat, slightly beyond. Resist the urge to look at your right toes. Now lean forward. Shifting forward just slightly. Feel the intensity in the left calf increase just slightly. Keep the left heel reaching. And give the right heel a little tug towards the back of the mat. Right? That familiar scissoring action of the legs. Now draw the belly button and the rib cage in, create some stability through the midsection. One at a time, let go of your thigh and bring your hands to your sides. Thumbs turned in towards your hips. And just spread your fingers wide, long through the arms, relax the shoulders. Think about your fingertips reaching down towards the back corner of your mat. Breathe. Keep the left heel reaching down, right heel pulling back. Now inhale, swing forward. And as you exhale, bring your hands back down to the mat and step your right foot back to downward dog. Feet hip distance apart. Oh. Take this active resting pose here in downward dog. Couple of breaths here. If downward dog, if you need a little more of a break, feel free to come down into table or child's pose. So table is here, child's pose is here. 2 breaths. If you're in child's pose, keep the arms strong. If you're in child's pose or table pose, return to downward dog. Those of you in downward dog, good job, everybody. All right, are we ready to go for the other side now? Bring the right foot into line with your belly button towards the center of your mat. Push down with the right heel, lengthen the right leg. Check in with your hands. Good grip on the mat. Stabilize through the wrists and the palms. Reach, left foot back, spread your toes, float your left foot off the mat. Now push the left heel back. At the same time, think of reaching your right heel down into the mat. Long, strong, stable right leg. Keep the left heel reaching back, the back of the left leg as long as it can be, and then lift the left leg as high as you can. Toes turned down towards the floor to keep the hips square. Lift a little higher if you can. Now bend your left knee. Hug your left knee in towards your rib cage. Come up onto your right big toe. Now swing your left foot forward as far as you can. Sink down onto your right heel. One at a time, come up onto your left thigh with your hands for support. Lean into your left leg, left knee. Push down into your right heel. If your right heel is not connecting with the mat, hop it forward just slightly. Find the spot, that perfect Goldilocks moment I always talk about, where you're getting the push into the floor, into your mat with your right heel, but at the same time, a stretch into your right calf. Right heel presses down. Take a breath. And as you exhale, give the left heel a pull back. Ooh. Now with the legs stable, you can feel the scissoring action of the legs. Release your hands. Your eyes are looking beyond the top edge of your mat. Turn your thumbs in towards your hips so your palms are pointing up. And think about reaching your hands down towards the back edge of your mat. Breathe. Relax through the shoulders. Reach from your shoulders to your fingertips. Right heel pressing down, left heel pulling back. Feel the energy in the left thigh, left hip, and breathe through it. Inhale, swing your arms forward. Exhale, bring your fingertips down to the mat. This time, step your right foot forward. Feet hip distance apart, take a breath. And as you exhale, bow. And go ahead and reach for your block, for support under your hands, or your blanket or towel, whatever it is that you happen to be using. Really relax the neck, let your head feel very heavy. Now inhale, press yourself halfway up. Come high on your fingertips, long through the upper body, looking beyond the top edge of your mat. Bend your knees. Walk your feet as wide as your mat here. Right hand on the support, your block, your blanket, your towel, your can of soup, whatever it is that you're using. Left hand to your left knee. Now bend your left knee, lengthen the right. Feel yourself shifting over to the left side. Take a breath, and as you exhale, simply turn to look to the left. Let the left shoulder pull up slightly, feeling the stretch in the inner right thigh. Now take another breath, and as you exhale, turn to look upwards. Breathe. One more breath. As you exhale, shift yourself back to center. Soften the right knee. Bring your gaze down to the mat. Left hand reaches for the support. Right hand comes to your knee now. Take a breath. As you exhale, shift over to the right side. Bend the right knee, lengthen the left. Feel the length on the left side. Take another breath. And as you exhale, turn to look to the right. Use your right hand on your knee to help rotate through the rib cage and shoulder. Sink into the inner left thigh. Get a good stretch there. If you want to turn a little more deeply, with your next breath out, bring your gaze upwards. One more breath. With your next breath out, bring your gaze back down to the mat. Right hand back to the mat. A little softness behind the knees, take a breath. And as you exhale, just fold over your thighs. Let the lower back round now to get a stretch through there after the twist. Bend your knees a little more deeply. Move your support off to the side. Plant your hands. Let's take a downward dog. Grounded to the mat through the hands and the feet. Long arms, long legs. Feeling the full length of the upper body. Lift your heels, bend your knees, walk your feet towards your hands. Inhale, come halfway up. Exhale. Fingertips come down to the mat. Step your right foot back. Step straight back. Land on the ball of your right big toe. A pivot on your right big toe, plant your heel. 90-degree angle with the feet, right toes pointing to the right, left toes pointing forward. Left elbow to your knee, right hand to your hip. Ball of the baby toe outer heel on the right foot pushes down into the mat and pulls forward. Left heel pushes down and pulls back. Again, scissoring action of the legs. Feel the legs pulling in. Right hand is on your hip. Feel like your right shoulder is stacked over top of your left shoulder. Big breath in. And as you exhale, turn. Bring your gaze upwards. Use your left elbow to anchor your knee over top of your ankle. Use your right hand, right shoulder to help really open up through the collarbones and the heart. If you choose, you can go ahead and sweep your right arm straight up, wrist in line with the shoulder. Just enough energy in the hands once again. Stabilize both wrists, not just the right wrist, but the left wrist as well. Don't let your left hand just be all loosey-goosey and floppy. Awareness. Use your energy. Harness it. Breathe. Another breath in. And as you exhale, sweep all the way down to the mat. Right hand comes down to the mat. Then the left, and step your right foot forward. Inhale, come halfway up, hands just underneath your knees. As you exhale, dive back down, fingertips to the mat for support. Step your left foot back. Long lunge step, land on the ball of your left big toe. Turn your left foot, drop your heel. Left toes pointing to the left, right toes pointing towards the top of the mat. Right elbow to your knee, left hand to your hip. Ball of the baby toe, outer heel of the left foot presses down, pulls forward. You can feel the energy in the left leg. Right heel pushes down, pulls back. Oh, the right leg has joined the party. Feel the left shoulder beginning to stack over top of the right. When you're ready, as you exhale, bring your gaze upwards. Right elbow anchors your right knee in place. Left hip, left hand, use that leverage to open up through the shoulders, the collarbones. Just cracking your heart wide open. Oh, feels good. Let the sun shine in. If you want to go bigger, reach the left arm up. Remember to activate both hands. Energize both arms. Breathe. One more big breath in. And as you exhale, sweep. Left hand down, right hand down. Pivot on your left big toe, step your left foot forward. Inhale, come halfway up. Exhale, just pause here, put a little softness behind the knees. Let your hands rest heavily on your knees. Push down with the soles of the feet. Drop the hips a little bit more. Keep the knees pointing in the same direction as your toes. Here we go. Turn the palms forward so the thumbs are pointing out. Lift your eyes, look towards the front of the room, or perhaps the horizon if you happen to be lucky enough to be outside. Now keep that. Relax the belly, relax the rib cage, let go. Now sweep the arms up. Think about bringing the thumbs together. Oh, this chair pose feels a lot different now than it did before. Breathe. Now press up. With your breath in, push into the mat, lift up, bring the gaze up, and as you exhale, release, coming to mountain pose. Let's reach for the strap. The belt, the strap, the tie, the scarf, whatever it is that you're using today to support your foot. So place the support under the sole of your right foot. Find the spot on the strap where the strap is taut. There's no slackness or looseness in the strap. And with your right hand holding onto the strap, you can feel it pulling into the sole of your right foot. So standing tall. Now press the soles of the feet into the mat. Feel the weight equally on the four corners of your feet, forward, backward, side to side. Bring your left hand to your hip. Just create an awareness, mentally, of course, with your left hand, knowing that your hips are level. Now shift your weight slightly into your left leg. Feel your left hip shift up just a tiny bit. Now push down, level out the hips again. And at the same time, feel the right heel begin to pull away from the mat. Spread your toes on your right foot, so now you're resting just on the ball of the big toe on the right foot. Most of the weight is on your left side. Now float, use the strap, float your right foot off the mat, spread your toes, and think about pushing into the strap and pushing down into the floor, into the mat with your left foot. Just feel the strength there. Feel the equal work on both sides. Even though there's only one side that is officially weight bearing, both legs are active. Both legs are helping you lift. Both legs are strong. Push into the strap, push into the floor equally. That will help keep the hips level, aligned. And then come back to center, right foot to the mat. Switching sides now. Strap under the sole of your left foot. Hold the strap with your left hand. Find the spot where you can feel the strap pulling into the sole of your foot, but not yet lifting. Left hand is on your hip. Soles of the feet press into the floor. You can feel equal weight, front and back of your feet, side to side, left and right. Now shift slightly into your right side. Just enough. You can feel your right hip slowly sliding up. So level out the hips. Feel the left heel begin to pull away from the mat. So reinforce that sensation by giving the strap a little tug. Spread your toes on your left foot. So now you're just connecting to the mat with the ball of the left big toe. Right side completely anchored, completely strong. Hips aligned. Use the strap now to lift the ball of the left big toe off the mat. Keep your toes spread. Reach, push into the strap, push into the floor. Both legs equally active. Keep the legs hugging towards each other, so your inner thighs kind of squeezing together. Breathe. And then release. All right, place your strap off to the side. Bring your feet wide. So there's a rule in yoga that when your feet are wide, they should be no wider than your wrists when your arms are reached out side to side. They can be closer, but not wider. So essentially, we want you to be steady and stable. Also, you need a good connection between the soles of the feet and the mat. So if you're rolling into your arches, really be conscious of pressing into the floor with, not actively pressing, but grounding down through the ball of the baby toe and the outer heel. Bring your hands to your hips. Put a little bend in your knees. Now hug your legs in towards each other. Feel them pulling in. Again, make a little mental note of how that feels in the hips to have the legs pulling in. Now take a breath, and as you exhale, bow forward. Hinge forward, stay long through the upper body. tailbone to the crown of the head. Coming into a deep forward fold here until you can bring your fingertips to the mat, or use your block, your blanket, whatever it is for a little bit of support. I'll use my blanket. So this just brings the floor a little bit closer with a little bit of support under the hands. Remember, your knees are slightly bent. Stay long through the upper body. If you can, bend at the elbows a little bit to deepen your forward fold. Now, as you come forward, be aware of the weight in your feet. Try not to rock the weight into the balls of the big toes. Keep the heels anchored. Now, right hand comes to the center, kind of right under your nose. High on your fingertips will give you a little more room. Left hand to your hip. Take a breath. And as you exhale, push into the mat with the right foot, lengthen the right leg, soften into the left. Take another breath. As you exhale, turn to look to the left. Feel the left shoulder pulling back. Use your thumb on your hip again to help you open up through the collarbones, open up through the heart. Now with your next breath out, push into the mat with the right leg. Feel the hips shifting back to center, but both legs long. Another breath, deepening the pose even more. As you exhale, rotate through the rib cage and shoulders a little bit more as you bring your gaze a little higher up. Breathe. Deep breath in. As you exhale, release the twist. Soften your knees. Left hand comes down. Shoulders centered. There's no intensity here, so you're low enough, there's enough bend in your knees, you can focus on your breath. Left hand comes to the center, kind of underneath your nose. Right hand to your hip. Moving one breath at a time. Remember, you can stop anywhere in the progression. As you exhale, shift over to your right side now. Left leg lengthens. You feel the beginnings of the stretch in the inner left thigh. Another breath. And as you exhale, turn to look to the right. Breathe. If you're ready to go bigger, another breath out. Deepen the rotation through the rib cage and shoulders by bringing your gaze upwards. Breathe into the belly. Your next exhalation, push into the mat with the right leg, right heel, lengthen the right leg. Really open through the collarbones, lengthen from the tailbone to the crown of the head. If you choose, you can even reach the right arm straight up. Deep breath into the belly. And as you exhale, release the twist. Soften the knees. Both hands back down to the floor, your support. Reconnect with the soles of the feet. Equal weight on both sides. Good connection between the soles and your mat. A little softness in the back of the knees, nothing more. Take a breath. And as you exhale, bow. Feel free to adjust the placement of your hands as you come into your forward fold, but be aware of the weight on your feet. Try not to let the weight shift into the balls of the toes, lightening up the heels. Keep the heels as heavy as the toes. Bend your knees, drop your hips slightly. One at a time, bring your hands to your hips. Now lift and lengthen through the upper body as you look straight down towards the edge of your mat. Whew. All right, getting ready to do some lifting with the legs. Push into the mat with the soles of the feet. Feel the hips just pop up just slightly. Take a breath in. And as you exhale, push. Lift the upper body upright. All the way up. Release the hands. Heel toe your feet together. And let's reach for the strap. One more time. Place the strap under the sole of your right foot. Standing tall, feet hip distance apart. Got the spot in the strap where you can feel the strap pulling into the sole of your foot and your foot pushing into the strap. Equal weight on both feet. Left hand to your hip. Level hips. Awareness of where your body is in the space, in the pose. Shift your weight slightly onto your left leg. Feel the familiar shift of the left hip and push down. Right heel begins to pull off the mat. Spread your toes. Push right foot into the strap. Pull strap into your foot so your right foot floats off the mat. Both legs pushing, connecting to the support below. And then just float. Right foot forward, straight forward. Keep your toes pointing forward or up to the ceiling, depending on how high you lift. Push into the floor, push into the strap. Hips level, chin over top of the heart. Heart over top of the belly button. Strong legs, push, you can do it. We'll take one more breath. See if you can lift a little higher. And then slowly coming back down. Equal weight on both feet. Switch sides. Strap under your left foot this time. Feet hip distance apart. You can feel the strap pulling into the sole of your left foot pushing into the strap. Equal weight, both sides, front and back. Right hand on your hip. Softness through the shoulders. Connect to where your body is in the pose throughout the progression. Shifting your weight into your right leg this time. Felt your right hip shift up, push it down. Level off the hips, left heel pulls off the mat. Spread your left toes. Push into the strap. Pull the strap into your foot as you float your left foot off the mat. Keep your inner thighs hugging towards each other. Push into the strap, push into the floor. Both legs equally engaged, equally strong. And start to slowly float left foot forward. Keep pushing into the strap, pushing into the floor. Activate the lower body from the hips to the soles of your feet, to the tips of your toes. And just work it slowly bringing the left leg higher. Use your arm for support, the strap for support. Push and reach with the soles of both feet. Stay active. Keep the hips level. Chin over top of heart, heart over top of the belly button. Breathe. Long and strong with both legs. And then slowly coming down. Equal weight on both sides. Place your strap off to the side. Standing in mountain pose. Inhale, sweep the arms up, bring your gaze up. Touch the thumbs together. Keep the thumbs touching as you exhale. Bend your knees, drop your hips. Oh no. Yes, one more time. Keep your gaze straight ahead now. Two more breaths. Inhale, lift up. Use your feet to push into the mat. Bring the gaze up. And as you exhale, sweep around. Bend your knees. Fingertips to the mat. Reach for your block. Reach for your blanket, whatever you choose. We're going to take a deep forward fold here. Breath in. High on the fingertips, long arms. Breath out. Lift to the hips. Fold towards your thighs. Again, make sure the weight's not all in your heels. Keep the weight equal, front and back of your feet. Awareness of how your body responds in every pose. So important. Bend your knees, plant your hands, step back to downward dog. We'll take 2 breaths here in downward dog. And then lift the heels, bring your knees all the way down to the mat. I like to bring my knees wide, if you don't already know. Big toes together to touch. And take a really restorative child's pose for 3 breaths. Make sure there's support underneath your forehead. So if your hips do not sink towards your heels, you can go ahead and just come down onto your forearms and elbows. And let your head come down to the mat or the block or a blanket. This can be just as restorative. It all depends on where you are in your practice and how your body is feeling today. Now press up. Swing your legs round to the top of the mat. Legs straight out in front. Now pull the flesh out from under your sits bones so you can really feel like you're sitting tall. If you feel like you're rolling back, you can go ahead and sit on your rolled up blanket. That will help you sit a little taller, although it will make this a little harder for you. So spread your toes, anchor your heels to the mat. Anchor the backs of the legs down, but at the same time, keep the heels connected to your mat. Don't let the heels pop up. That means you're overextending your knee joints. Now, fingertips beside your hips, and just lift through the upper body. Really feel some heaviness through the hips, the back of the legs. Now, keep the heels pressing down, keep the toes spread wide. Reach your hands forward. Enough energy in the hands, again, so the wrists are stabilized. Keep that. Keep pushing down into the mat with the hips, the heels, backs of the calves, backs of the thighs. Now lift the hands a little higher so you're pointing towards the corner. Yes, this is going to get harder. Anchor the legs. Keep the legs energized. Now reach straight up. You have to let the rib cage pop open slightly, create some curve in the lower back. That can be scary for some people, especially if you're someone with a back injury. Make your arms as long as you can. It's okay to have a bend in the elbows. That does help to soften through the shoulders. Be as long as you can. Long legs, anchor to the mat, long arms. Take one more breath. And as you exhale, bow forward. Keep the arms long. Feel your weight coming forward, sinking into your legs a little bit more. Keep the feet energized by spreading the toes. Long arms. One more breath. And as you exhale, soften the legs. Let your hands land wherever they want to land. Now relax the feet, but keep your toes pointing upwards. Don't let your toes point out corner to corner. Take another breath. And as you exhale, pull your belly and rib cage away from your thighs and sink into that space. Let the softness wash over you. Feel the flow of your breath. Feel all the strain gone. You can feel the effects of the energy, but the strain is gone. Another breath. And this time, just relax your neck. Let your head feel heavy. Let your shoulders round. Relax the hands, the arms. Just kind of drape yourself over top of your thighs. One more breath. Just because it feels so good. Press up. Bend your knees. Bring your toes to the top of the mat. And slowly roll back. Come all the way down onto the mat. Bring your arms out to the sides. Backs of the hands resting on the floor, wrists in line with your shoulders. Walk your feet wide. Feel under the edges of your mat underneath just the ball of the baby toe. Take a breath. And as you exhale, let your knees fall to the right. Roll onto the outside edge of your right foot, inside edge of your left foot. Sink into your right hip. And just let your left knee float over top of your mat. Roll your head to the left. Let your head feel really heavy. Feel that heavy spot at the base of your skull, just kind of above your left ear. Use every breath out to create a little more heaviness through the legs and hips. Really sink into this twist and feel the full length from the left side of your body, from your knee to your armpit. Bring your head to center, knees to center. Breath in, and as you exhale, let your knees go to the left this time. Roll onto the outside edge of your left foot, inside edge of your right foot. Sink into your left hip, and let your right knee just float over top of the mat. Roll your head to the right. Feel the weight on the back of your skull, just kind of above your right ear. Use your exhalation to let your legs and hips feel really heavy so you can feel the full length of the right side of your body, from your right knee to your armpit. Feel your body beginning to let go of your yoga practice. Now into the restorative phase. Head to center, knees to center. Bring your knees in towards your chest. Just give them a good hug. You can even bring some movement. The next breath or two, stretch your legs out. Bringing your arms to your sides. Tuck your shoulder blades underneath you so you can rest on the back of your hands, and your palms and fingers can be really limp and open. Legs. Roll onto the outside edges of your heels as your toes point outwards. With your exhalation, create some heaviness through the hips and the legs. More heaviness with the shoulders and the arms, hands. And your next breath out, finally, soften through the torso. Feel the lower back, the rib cage, all sinking and spreading into the mat. Stay here for a couple of breaths, just bathing in your yoga afterglow. Take in a long, deep breath. And as you exhale, sink deeply into the mat, into your body. Bringing yourself back with little movements at first into your fingers and toes, your hands and feet, your arms and legs. Take a breath, and as you exhale, roll onto your right side. Use your right arm to support your head and neck. As you breathe in, press up. Sit tall. Sit comfortably. Hands together at the heart. Eyes softly closed. Take a moment to be grateful. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be loved. May all beings be at peace. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.